Get out my business. Nani? Okay.
Let's push to the next story, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, how you guys doing? My name's Heero. That's Eric. And we are the amalgamation of the Identity Booth. And every day we try and put ourselves in a situation. We try and put ourselves in a situation where we want to talk about something that is important to us, that isn't getting enough attention. And hopefully when all the pseudo woke people want to jump on board and be part of this super, oh, let's save this guy, that hopefully that enough people see this message and they wake up for it. But what we want to talk about right now is Pervis Payne, who 33 years ago was charged with the double homicide of a woman and her child. And the circumstances of this case have so many loopholes in it, and this speaks to a situation and a reason why I don't trust our justice system to execute people. Pervis Payne will be executed April 4th, I believe, and his execution date is coming at the heels of new DNA testing being available, new items being available to test it, items that have been tested and have found other DNA samples, and still no one is making a move for anything to happen. And we know for a fact that this justice system has sentenced 16% of people on death row are innocent. I know that the 231 people that I helped get off of death row during my 2 years as a master's, getting my master's in forensic pathology with 3 pre-law students, 4 lawyers, 6 district attorneys, and a plethora of judges and detectives who scathed, spit at us, and sent racial slurs our way for activating cases that they said they closed with full confidence. The fact is, I don't have confidence in our justice system. And that same justice system that we're allowing to murder people is the same justice system that put Japanese people in internment camp back during World War II sentiments. It's the same system that allows slavery to run for 400 years. It's the same system that in Tennessee, what's the name of the dude, Eric?
Nathan Bedford Forrest. If you don't know who he is, stay tuned for the Crazy Karen Corner if you can figure that out. He was the founder of the Crazy Karen Corner, that group.
That lunatic has a Braun bus in the most important building in Tennessee,
in the entire state,
state of Tennessee, and literally all the black workers, especially a congresswoman, has to walk past that bus as she goes in to do her job for the greater community of Tennessee. And the fact is, that's the country. This is the government. This is the way of life that we're allowing to say, yeah, we're going to execute XYZ person. And that just can't be the case. So with Nathan's story, we're going to hear his story, right? Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, snaps, we got a donation. Oh, thanks so much for the donation. I was getting riled up into it, but this is definitely worth it. Thank you for this donation. It means so much. It's going to definitely go to help out those kids.
Yeah,
Kelly, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
First of all, how did she donate on YouTube?
Because she's using Twitch. The donation link.
Shout out to, you know why? The Twitch people are clutch. See, the first donation we got was on Twitch. The second donation we got was on Twitch. Man, we might have to tell
a Twitch
YouTube
channel.
Yeah, we might have to go primary on Twitch for all our Twitchers over there who be holding it down for us.
In real talk, we only need 35. We're at 35. We only need 50 to become affiliated. So we're close.
15 more subscribers.
Yeah,
15 more subscribers.
15 more. But thank you so much for that donation. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly.
As we read this story, just understand that there were so many ways and so many times that this case could have been thrown out already, but because of the systemic racism in the system, the systemic injustice that people suffer in the system, and because we're a prison first nation, and by that I mean we imprison more of our own citizens than anybody else in this country, anybody else in this world. That's a problem. That's a problem. And let's hear about it.
Man say new evidence could exonerate their client for a double murder dating back to 1987. But prosecutors say not so fast.
Yeah, Pervis Payne is currently on death row. Local 24 News reporter Rebecca Butcher breaks down why the Shelby County District Attorney asked a judge to deny the request for DNA testing.
Well, District Attorney Amy Wyrick says there is no new evidence in this case, explaining that the bloodied sheets Payne's attorneys want to be tested are from another vicious murder. Attorney Kelly Henry is on 53-year-old Pervis Payne's legal team, which includes the Innocence Project. The Tennessee man who has an intellectual disability was convicted in 1988 for the double murder of a Millington mother and her young child. A second child survived.
As an African-American young man, he found himself at an overwhelming crime scene. He tried to help.
Henry tells me the legal team found evidence in the property room they'd never seen, evidence they wanted tested for DNA. Yet District Attorney Amy Wyrick announced Thursday the reported newly discovered evidence is from a murder 9 years after Payne's conviction.
Let's assume, for the sake of the argument, that the DNA testing would come back and it would have somebody else's DNA on it, right? So what? The state was still going to prosecute Mr. Payne because the evidence of his guilt was so overwhelming.
It was not overwhelming. It was just even described by the district attorney at the time as circumstantial.
The DA says the mother sustained 42 knife wounds and 42 defensive wounds.
He was seen by police running out of this apartment sweating blood. His hat is on a dead baby's arm.
We have lots of questions about the integrity of this crime scene. We have photographs that show one thing. We have a diagram that shows something else.
And Payne's execution date is set for December 3rd. His attorneys say that he's had no prior criminal record and has maintained his innocence for over 30 years. Reporting at 201 Poplar, Rebecca Butcher, Local 24 News.
So December 3rd is his deadline, but he has an appeal going out for April 4th. The two things you have to take away from this story before we leave off with it, right, is the fact that in his evidence locker there is evidence that doesn't belong there should wash this case.
Yes.
Should wash this case. The fact that they opened up his locker, they said, hey, we didn't know that this blanket was part of the evidence. And they're like, oh, it's not. It's from a different case. Which case? Why are you acting all jumpy? No. Where'd that blanket come from? Tell us something. Let us run evidence on it. The blade had another male's DNA on it. But because they refused to run that DNA through the census to see if anybody matches it, they don't want to acknowledge it, and it's not being admissible in court. Furthermore, the mishandling of this case, the fact that they use circumstantial evidence, like he has a mental disorder. So when he walked into this situation, he definitely couldn't handle it. Most medical professionals wouldn't know what to do in this situation. But I mean, Eric, our conversation isn't really we want to bring attention to this, but our greater conversation. What are your feelings on capital punishment? Is this a thing that we need to keep doing?
Bro, I have mixed feelings about it. I think part of me feels like it should never happen, and the other part of me feels like it should under a few circumstances. If you steal someone's innocence through some kind of sexual assault, I think you need a bullet in the brain. If you somebody like Bernie Madoff and you run a Ponzi scheme and you steal people's life savings with no intention for restitution, you need a bullet in the brain. If you murder somebody consciously, I'm not saying let's waste taxpayer dollars on going through the whole process. Let's get you out of here. If we can prove it, I don't need to waste taxpayer dollars on having you sit in a jail. I know Heero and I probably have some slight disputes there for this obvious reason. This guy's been sitting in the tank this whole time, and he doesn't look he doesn't look guilty. Not like he looked, in 1988. He's been sitting in jail 30 years of his life for what? Number one, the reason why they're gonna try very hard to make sure that he's not proven innocent is because he's been wrongfully convicted for 33 years. Number one, it makes the district attorney's office look terrible. It makes the judges look racist. They don't want the R word being thrown at them at all. Number B, they gotta pay restitution to this guy for 30 something years of his life that he can never get back. Number three, he's got a mental disorder. It looks bad.
Yeah.
That you couldn't even convict the quote unquote mentally challenged kid. Like, it's a bad look for them. Bad look for them.
And I'm not sure which statute was mentioned, but I was reading through the Innocence Project report on this, and they were talking about it's unconstitutional to sentence someone to death who has a mental disorder because but
why aren't they pushing this, bro? Why?
This is literally it. The judge in all these cases has constantly dismissed every accusation or every charge of that. Like the same judge who wouldn't allow for new evidence because of DNA testing is the same judge that wouldn't allow the admission of his psychological work because he had the wherewithal to run away when he saw police. In 1988, the same year, isn't that the same year Rodney King got his ass beat?
I think it was the following year.
89. But it doesn't mean that the sentiments weren't there. This is Tennessee. He knows what happens when police come around. So for me, that's not an excuse. I think this case needs to be washed. Now, there's a part of me that says, like, okay, if we can't prove his innocence, you clearly had botched the job of proving his guilt. If he has to sit in jail for the rest of his life, I would live with that versus him being executed. And it's not because the execution is the problem. The fact is, the states have proven that they don't know how to execute people humanely. So they're automatically going to break another constitution, which is cruel and unusual punishment for our prisoners. Because by law, no healthcare provider or pharmaceutical company can provide these prisons with injections to murder their convicts because our Hippocratic oath. If me and Eric were sitting in the room, it would be in our best.
We would remove ourselves.
We would remove ourselves or try and stop it or never allow it to begin because the first rule is do no harm. And if they put us in the room, they put us in the room knowing that we would try and save him, period.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an issue. And they botch these things all the time, which led to two very interesting situations where in one situation, a person survived his lethal injection, therefore requesting to be set free. And rightfully so, he survived your death sentence. So, I mean, I don't know how to argue that, but he made a great point. And then two, the electric chair is one of the most inhumane things because you basically lobotomize the brain through electrophoresis. And if you've never seen a brain cook at 200 degrees Celsius, I'll start with saying your eyeballs melt first. So
it's a painful way to go. And nobody in this country should be subjected to that. I don't care what they did. That is absolutely deplorable. That's a good word. And anybody who's advocating for the use of the electric chair in 2021 is a deplorable, and they need to be handled accordingly.
My whole thing is I hope this story gets notarized, gets notified. Everybody sees this, shares this. I hope this story gets out there. It needs to get out there because ultimately we, the people, have till December 3rd to save this guy. Now, the Biden administration says that they don't want to continue federal crimes. Tennessee still has I just don't get how like people are saying the death penalty or and they'll be like an eye for an eye. No, shut up. An eye for an eye only leaves you half blind unless you only had one eye. But ultimately, if your goal is to have revenge, it'll never bring you peace because peace is never the option when you're looking for revenge. So whether you believe in the death penalty or not, I think you ultimately have to agree with, can you 100% without, and this is a thought experiment that I used with a few people. If I gave you 16 bullets and put 100 people in a room and told you 16 of them are innocent, and you had to shoot 16 people by the end of the day, who would you pick? if your default is hesitation, then you know that this isn't right. If you try and explain away that you could somehow deduct who's the guilty one and who's the innocent one, all right, Sherlock Holmes, welcome to the CIS. But ultimately, if it makes you hesitate, then just take that for what it is. But I mean, Eric, for what it's worth, where can they find us, bro?
Right here on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, set the post notifications to all, hit that thumbs up, hit that share. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs, man. Let's go ahead and share this with as many people as possible. After that, make sure you hit that description box. We are raising money for some high school seniors, man. Help send some kids to college, man. Endurance 24. We got a link right there. 2 teachers from TF High School back in Illinois, where Heero and his family graduated, doing a 24-hour run, 24 miles to help raise this money. So go ahead and click that link. Then go right hit the Amazon link. You know you're on Amazon. You know you buy stuff on Amazon. So just go ahead and use our affiliate link. Let us get some of that Jeff Bezos money so we can go ahead and drop it in the bucket for these seniors. And after that, hit our link tree. See all the platforms that we're on. We're literally like Visa everywhere you need to be. So make sure you hit those places for us.
But it's so hard to find through the daily grind. Been working overtime. And I'm sleep deprived. Shorty on my line and we fuss and fight. Seems like every night. Don't care who's wrong or right. I hope the end is sight. Slow it down and we can catch the vibes.